cardio, it's horrible. If you want to have big legs, if you want to be a bodybuilder, you can't ride a bike.
They're still there, guys. The muscles are there, and I hardly train legs. Coach Greg, in today's video, I'm going to be going over my training specifically for bike riding as well as lifting weights in order to be what I like to call a dual athlete. Somebody who has both muscles, but also has good cardio. And so oftentimes people, they're good at one or the other. For example, Mr. Mike, I mean, you can debate me that he's not good, but he does have a lot of muscle. But the problem is he can't use it for anything. He can't hop a nippert. He can't run a mile. And so what is the point? Perhaps when you're young and you're competing for bodybuilding competitions, you think that muscle is the answer. That's the only thing that's important. But as you get older, you'll realize that your heart is the most important muscle in the human body. You get guys like Sebum, 6-time Olympia champion, and since that time, he's retired and he's running. He's trying to be an athlete, and so that is what it's all about. And a reminder, VO2 max is how much oxygen your body can use, is the #1 predictor of longevity, more so than how much muscle you have or if you smoke cigarettes or if you drink alcohol. The last two are certainly bad, but if you can be fit, and that I'm measuring by your VO2 max, your ability to do cardio, then at least you're halfway there. I'm going to cover the weights very, very quickly. I lift my entire body twice a week or perhaps twice every 8 days. And so every 3 or 4 days, I go to the gym and I lift weights. It usually takes about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. And what I do is a circuit. I go from one machine to the next. And so rather than just planning myself down on one machine, doing a set of chest press, for example, then resting 2 or 3 minutes and doing it again, I complete the chest press and I'll walk over and do the lat pull downs. And perhaps then I'll do some calf raises followed by some adductors, and I continue to move in a circuit. I don't need to rest a long time between sets because what would be the point? And so I'm not technically trying to build a lot more muscle. I'm trying to keep the muscles that I already have. Obviously, my most important supplements, GO2 Max for cardio and Turk Platinum for improved muscle recovery, strength, endurance, ability to go harder than last time. And this is in addition to my TRT. Now, if you have never gotten your blood work done, go to AlgoRx. But if you're interested in just getting HTLT supplements, of course, click the link right now. And while I'm lifting weights, I focus more on my upper body as well as my adductors, abductors, and calves. Now, when I'm on the bike in particular, I'm using a lot of my quads. And so to do a bunch of sets of, for example, leg extensions, hamstring curls, squats, hack squats, the list goes on, it would literally cause overtraining for me to go harder than last time. And so when I do these, I generally do only a couple of sets. I don't go to failure, and I try to keep my reps in the 8 to 15 rep range. I'm not trying to go ultra heavy. I don't want to get injured, and I'm looking for longevity. In doing this, it's enough to keep all of my muscles, despite the fact that I'm doing 10 hours of bike riding a week. And so on the days that I'm lifting weights, I finish off my session with 1 hour of zone 2 cardio. What exactly is zone 2? Well, there are 5 zones. In zone 1, which is what most of you are doing, and it's almost useless. That's right, zone 1 cardio to improve your fitness is virtually useless. And so the problem is many social media influencers are preaching that you're going too hard. You need to stop running. You need to stop doing HIIT cardio. Interval training is bad. And so what they show you in comparison is going for a walk and counting steps. Now, steps is good for the average person, which is an out-of-weight piece of shit. But I'm hoping that you're not one of those people. Now, if you are, you're 300 pounds, you do nothing, yeah, go for a walk. Good. But if you're already fit, somewhat fit, healthy, young, zone 1, it's not enough. You need to get into zone 2. Zone 1 is the Grandma Josephine cardio. You're going for a walk, you're in the mall, you're shopping, you're doing anything. As I'm recording this video, I'm in zone 1. If I walk to the bathroom to take a shit or piss, it's zone 1. It's not enough. Now, zone 2, it's moderately hard cardio, moderate pace, medium. And so when you train in the gym, you go harder than last time, but when you're doing cardio, you go at a medium pace. It's giving Adam Sandler.
Got a medium pace.
The majority of your cardio should be in zone 2. It's hard enough that it's not easy. You're breathing harder. You could still talk to a friend. You could read a book. You could practice Duolingo. You could study. And so you can do two things at the same time. Perhaps you're watching Coach Greg while doing Zone 2 cardio. Excellent idea. And so doing Zone 2 cardio, you're learning to use more fat for energy. Your mitochondria are getting stronger than last time. And you're doing so without overworking your body. And so the beauty is you can do it every single day. In the harder zones, for example, when you're getting into zone 3, you're burning more calories and it's improving your fitness more quickly, but it's not sustainable. If you try to do this every single day, essentially you're overtraining. It would be like doing squats every single day of the week. It's a bit much. And so you benefit more by doing less. And so your zone 3, save it for next time. And so this tempo, it would be a hard pace. Perhaps you could do it for an hour or two and without too much difficulty, but it is very, very hard. Almost no one is out there going this hard when doing cardio. If you go at the gym and you walk people walking on the incline treadmill and so on, they're mostly going in zone 1 or zone 2. Zone 4 is perhaps at your anaerobic threshold. It's the maximum you can go for an extended period of time. You're suffering. It's hard. You can't talk. You're not watching any videos. You're essentially dying. Last is zone 5, which is very, very hard. Let's call it all out. You're giving it your all. You're sprinting. You're really pushing yourself to failure. This is the level that you should be going at when you're lifting weights. You're in zone 5. So for example, you're doing a squat to failure. You're going all out. When I go above zone 2, zone 3, 4, and 5, I need to follow that up with a day of rest. And so for example, yesterday I was doing multiple sets of zone 5. It's very, very hard. And I followed that up with an hour of cardio. And so I rode for an hour and 50 minutes. And today, because I'm tired from yesterday, I'm going to do zone 2, which is easy, normally between 1 and 2 hours. And so approximately 80% of the time that you're riding is going to be in zone 2, with only 20% in the higher zones. And so in total, I'll be doing about 10 hours of bike riding each and every week, normally burning somewhere between 750 and 1,000 calories per hour. And so because of that, I don't have to worry about what I'm eating. I'm burning a lot of calories off. Many people say, well, if you do more cardio, you're going to be more efficient. Yeah, being more efficient allows me to do harder cardio without it feeling harder. And so I burn more calories. And so the average person, if they were trying to bike ride and trying to burn 500 calories, they probably couldn't do it. In comparison, I could do double that. And so in the same period of time, I'm burning double the calories, which allows me to eat that much more food. Maintaining a very lean physique, it's not actually that hard if you're willing to do enough cardio. But if you're skipping cardio, not only do you miss out on the benefits of the calorie burn that it's going to offer, but it's not going to be taking off years off of your life. And so even if you're using Ozempic or tirzepatide or even Retta, you're using the GLPs, or perhaps you're going to AlgaRx and using the peptides and so on, you still got to do cardio. Just because you're lean, just because you're at your ideal weight, it doesn't mean that you're actually fit. Now, it certainly helps. I'd rather you be lean and out of shape than fat and out of shape, but why not do both? Why not do the cardio, get lean, and maximize your time here on this planet? For me, during my bike rides, in particular, the longer ones, 90 minutes or more, I'm actually adding in sugar, whether it's fructose, glucose, whatever concoction. I'm adding in more carbohydrates than last time to fuel my workouts. Normally, for the average person, I would say you never have to do this. But for me, because I'm burning so many carbs, during a typical race where you're burning about 900 calories per hour, you're getting about 300 calories from body fat and about 600 calories from your stored carbs, aka in your glycogen. And so you want to replenish that, and so that you have more energy and you can push yourself harder. I would normally say, let's sell this, but I know that the majority of my audience doesn't care. They're not doing cardio enough to warrant selling this. And so I add different forms of carbs from different companies. As in HCLT supplements, we're essentially selling the GO2 Max. This is the #1 supplement for your cardio. And I'm combining these carbs with Perilite. You want extra electrolytes. I even add in additional sodium because I sweat so much. And so you may have seen so many people promoting electrolytes. Maybe 1% of the world benefits from electrolytes. You're thinking, no, I need the sodium and the potassium and this and that. You do not, unless you're doing at least I don't know, an hour plus of cardio, it's essentially useless. It's not going to be a benefit. And so if you're using Element or whatever electrolyte supplement you have out there, almost certainly you don't need it. In Perilite, we combine both electrolytes with BCAAs and EAAs to allow you to have more protein. There's 8 grams of protein per scoop. You get the electrolytes on top of that, and it tastes better than last time. And so I combine this with some carbs, obviously with some water. And before going on my ride, I'll use either the Blue Lobster or Alter Ego. Code Greg, 15% off. For various days of training on my bike, for example, if I elect to do a bike race on Zwift, that is the days I have the most fun, where I can race against other people and do the best that I can. My weakness would be riding uphill. My strength would be sprinting downhill, as I'm a heavier rider. And so that is a very hard training day. The intensity is up there. You're doing zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all in the same race. And so following that, I'll need to do zone 2. Different days, if I'm not doing a bike race, I'll, for example, do VO2 max training. For example, yesterday, where I did 5 sets of 4 minutes, and I was doing approximately 120 to 125% of my FTP. And so somewhere around 360 to 380 watts. And following that up with some easy zone 2 cardio to get rid of that lactic acid. And so that is a day of training. At a different day of training, I'll, for example, do multiple sets of 15 minutes at my FTP, which is approximately 300. So, for example, I could ride at 300 watts for 15 minutes, rest for 3 or 4 minutes, where I'm only going maybe 180 watts, and repeat 2 or 3 times to improve my FTP, allow me to go faster for longer. During a bike race or any training, I oftentimes am using aero bars, which sounds ridiculous. I'm in the aero position inside, where you're literally not going against any wind. If you're outside and you're a cyclist, the more aerodynamic you can make yourself, the more small your body is. It cuts through the wind that much easier, and you can go faster. And so I'm sitting and relaxing with my hands on the padding in front of me, and it's allowing me to relax my back. It's a lot more comfortable. I can go longer. During a bike ride, especially in a sprint or anytime I have to put more power, I get off of the seat and I'm using more of my glutes and my quads to really sprint all out. I'll oftentimes take breaks from sitting down, where my perineum or my taint is getting sore. My private member is getting numb from the seat. It's not the best feeling. And so I'll sit up, ride, get a different feeling, use different muscles. Sometimes my quads will burn a little bit more than I would like, and so I'll start pulling up and using even more hamstrings, anything to put down the power. And so if you're curious, what kind of bike rider am I? I'm an endurance sprinter, and so consider it similar to being a 400-meter runner. I can't go very fast for 100 meters, but I can keep that same speed for approximately a minute. And so for most people, they gas out after 15 seconds or so. And so when that happens, I'm continuing to push the power. I can oftentimes beat people out in the sprint, despite the fact that they're faster than me. Bike racing is an amazing sport, especially on Zwift, where it's not as dangerous. Clearly, I'm not going to crash. I'm not going to get into an accident. And it allows a group of different riders with the chance of victory, despite the fact that I'm 50 and I don't have the best endurance in the world. Remember, guys, I was below average in my running ability when I was a teenager. I just worked on it a lot. I came a long way. And so my endurance is not really all that great. And so I'm a heavier rider. The heavier you are, the slower you go uphill. And so whenever there's a hill, it's my weakness. But if I'm going downhill, it's my strength. And because of drafting, which is when a bike is behind another bike rider, the person in front is blocking the wind, making it easier for the person behind them. And so if you're a gifted cyclist and there's a weaker rider riding with you, they can simply follow you and save approximately 30% of their energy. And so you might be 30% faster than your friend, but you can ride together, which makes it an amazing sport. Imagine in running. They're running an 8-minute mile and you can only run a 9-minute mile. You cannot run together at the same speed. And so in cycling, you could literally be riding with somebody faster than you who's in the front while you're having no trouble drafting them in the back. And so depending on the course, whether it finishes uphill or downhill, if it's mostly flat, if it's mostly hilly, the race favors a different type of rider. And so you get to experience some races where you do horrible, or or some when you do great. If you're interested or curious, I would encourage you to join Zwift. I know Will Tennyson has recently done so. He's been riding for several months. It's a great way to do cardio. If you're trying to hold on to a lot of muscle, for example, like myself or Will Tennyson, doing cycling is way better than running because running, there's too much eccentric load on the muscle. Essentially, you're damaging the muscle too much, makes it harder to recover. And so if you run in comparison to bike, the runner is going to have smaller legs while the cyclist can maintain a lot of mass. And in case you're thinking, oh, but I'll lose all the muscle in my quads if I start bike riding. Cardio, it's horrible. If you want to have big legs, if you want to be a bodybuilder, you can't ride a bike. Guys, I would argue that my legs at this point are my best body part. It wasn't always this way. And I'm riding harder than last time. And so think of it. When I sprint for 30 seconds or perhaps a minute, how is it different than when you're doing a set of 20 or 30 reps on the leg press or 20 reps on the squat and doing it to failure? I'm going as hard as I can. You're still putting a load on a muscle, and so your muscles have no choice to grow. And so whether you're sprinting on a bike, getting off the seat, or sitting down, you can in fact develop your lower body. And so the quad reveal, they're still there, guys. The muscles are there, and I hardly train legs. I probably, in a run of a week, would do 3 sets of quads and 0 sets of hamstrings. This is my typical workout in a week. This is 2 workouts. And so if you are interested in starting bike riding and adding it to your weightlifting, feel free to reduce your training volume for your legs by 50%. For myself, I have no reason to take GLP Max. And for the guys on my cycling team, we have a team called HTLT. It's on Zwift. You can join. We have a group chat where we often race together. We have varying abilities from the most advanced elite cyclists in the world to guys at my level or below. And so if you're interested, you can of course go on Zwift and you can join our team. We race very often, multiple days a week. And a lot of the guys, they actually lift weights, and many have gone on weight loss journeys, losing 50 or even over 100 pounds, all from bike riding. And so you might be thinking you're out of shape, you're lazy, you do nothing, perhaps you weigh over 300 pounds. Well, a year from now, you might have lost 50 or 100 pounds, all because of bike riding. If that is the only thing you do without even changing your diet, you most certainly will lose weight, but imagine doing both. And so of course, you can get my cookbook, you can get the GLP Max, you can get a GLP from Algo RX. Combine all of this into your training and you will be fitter than last time. Hopefully you learned something. Ending it here. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algo for AlgoRx. Be sure to get your blood work as well as the supplements that you need. Don't forget to watch one of those 2 bloops. And if you want to be sponsored or an ambassador, you want to be coached by myself and my team, or carry the supplements to your stores and or gyms, you click the link. And until next time, I am out.